Shoobity beep bop 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 baloo bop hey. Shark-a-doodle-doo, 1-800-449-8255. The fabulous, incredible, spectacular, cultured, dynamic, moving Clark the Shark Show. And, dude, you guys, I gotta talk about one of the greatest albums ever recorded, though Lou Reed would probably disagree. God rest his soul. I don't know, or maybe, with time, this thing aged incredibly well, but it was already good, from the beginning. But for whatever reason, he quit the band. Dude, the Velvet Underground, Loaded, 1970. Needless to say, you guys, ahead of its time. Maybe, I don't know. There's some good shit coming out in 1970. Neil Young after the gold rush, and, I think I want to go back home and take it easy. The Who live at Leeds, Led Zeppelin 3. There wasn't a Rolling Stones album in 1970 except for the live one, but Sticky Fingers was actually recorded, quite a bit of it, in 1970. And then a lot of Exile on Main Street, I believe, was recorded in 1971. I kind of wish bands could just record songs within a year and then release them in that year, like the Beatles often did. When the Beatles recorded a track in 65, the album came out in 65. If they recorded in 66, it came out in 1966 or 1964, 1963, and so on and so on. I love organization, people, here on the Clark the Shark Show. One incredible show, you guys, from a golden EIB sharkerphone. It's not a microphone, for I am not a mere mortal man. I am a special human being who speaks into a golden microphone. The EIB Excellence in Shark Casting, golden EIB sharkerphone, where, when I'm talking about Lou fucking Reed, dude. Now, you guys know how much I love the Banana album with Nico. And Lou, dude, how confused Lou was, thought he was gay or thought he was just a weirdo or, alternative indie. And then he gets with Nico. And, dude, what kind of baby would that have been? Lou Reed and Nico. I hope, I don't want to think into it, but I heard rumors, about Nico getting rid of babies, or I hope she just had miscarriages, man. I don't like abortion, you guys. It's not funny at all. I fucking hate it. And that's one of the reasons why I hate liberals and Democrats and socialists, because I fucking don't agree with that. And I don't think it should be legal. Fuck that, dude. I hate abortion. I hate the concept of it. I dig it, dude, when a chick gets pregnant and she's young and she's scared and all that. And, dude, I fucking dig it. But go to fucking St. Anne's or some shit. Don't abort a baby. Because I hate the thought of Nico, dude, the Velvet fucking Underground and Nico having Lou Reed's baby or Jim Morrison's baby or whoever's fucking baby, dude, and aborting it. I don't like that concept, dude. And it's not because I believe in God or Jesus or... Dude, I would fucking be not pro-choice even if I was an atheist. In fact, if I was an atheist, I would be even more pro-life. Because then I'd be like, dude, there ain't no God? You mean we're just going into a black void? When we die, well, then I'd really be pro-life, dude. I wouldn't be like a fucking liberal, dude. Liberals don't think things through. They don't realize that they themselves could have been aborted. And let's be perfectly fucking honest here. Liberals and Democrats should be aborted. I fucking hate them. at 1-800-449-8255 on the Clark the Shark Show. I don't really like Fox News Republicans or conservatives either, you guys. I mean, they're just a different kind of liberal. They're like liberals that worship a Bible or worship God. Instead of pro-choice or gay or more government, they have a different God. Their God is no government at all. And I don't believe in no government at all, you guys. I'm not Hannity. I don't know what maybe he doesn't believe that. I'm saying, the guys like Trump that want to have the buildings that are $8,000 a month so that you fucking can't live in them and you got to get a Section 8 just to sneeze around them. I say this in all my videos, you guys. Donald Trump owns all the fucking real estate in California and in America. Quite a bit of it. Maybe not all of it. But guys like him and Mitt Romney and Republicans, they are really the reason why we have the high rent that puts people living in a tent in Venice, you guys, or on the streets in Skid Row, or like me, Clark the Shark, living now with my nephew down here in San Diego. I'm just fucking floating wherever I can, whether it's a Motel 6, you guys, because everything's $3,000, $4,000 a month and going up every day. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. And it's because of Republicans. They own all the shit. But I'm not going to let Democrats and socialists off the hook either, because they like the cheap labor and the high rent too. Yes, they do. Democrats and socialists want to control you and have power over you and call people names and put people down like they're bigger and better and smarter than everyone else. That's how Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff are. They are their own version, sort of, like a Donald Trump themselves. And that's why they're always after Donald Trump, because they look in the mirror and they see a fucking 666 Satan scumbag. That's what Adam Schiff sees when he looks in a mirror. That's what Democrats like Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi see when they look in a mirror. They see the face of evil. They are the Democrats are the lesser of two evils. I don't want to love or go fucking masturbate over Republicans or go gaga over them. But dude, I'm left with no choice. I got to take conservatism and all its warts over liberalism. I'm sorry, you guys. Democrats, they want to control you. They want high rent. They want inflation. They want people miserable so they can tell you how miserable you are and then exploit you. Kind of like how the GOP and the Republicans do at a lesser extent, but they do it too. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. 1-800-449-8255. None of us are immune. We're all just ordinary men at the end of the day, you guys. But Lou Reed was not ordinary. And this album, Loaded, was by no means an ordinary album. This was incredible. And even if the Velvet Underground or Lou Reed back in the day, they didn't like it and they thought it was too commercial or... Dude, that's a bunch of bullshit. It's not. His fucking album is awesome, you guys. It's not too commercial. And, Lou Reed, maybe it wasn't commercial enough or he wanted to make more money, so he went solo, hanging out with David Bowie and all that and shit. And I don't know, dude. I would have loved to have seen the Velvet Underground keep going. And actually, they did keep going, I think, for a couple of albums with John Cale. And Ian Pace from Deep Purple would actually join the band. I'm not kidding, you guys. That is a true fact right here on the Clark the Shark Show. 1-800-449-8255. Now, it's going to get 5 stars, you guys. I'm not even going to... Dude... It's one of the greatest albums ever. It's, if anyone gave it 4 stars, or it's, All Music and Blender gave it 5. Dude, who gave Chicago Tribune? I got a problem with this fucking Chicago Tribune. They get it wrong a lot. There's a 4 star. What is the Encyclopedia of Popular Music? Okay, Q gave it 4. Now, Rolling Stone, they fucking masturbate. They go crazy for Lou Reed. Of course they give it 5. Well, dude, you could only give this album 5 stars. And Dude, every song, Who Loves the Sun, dude? Sang by Yule, not by Reed. Killer song, dude. I fucking love it. I love that song, Who Loves the Sun. And of course, Sweet Jane. Awesome. Oh, dude, I used to play this in the South Bay with so many bands. Fuck, dude. I think Joe Groovy Dude and I don't know if we played it, but I know the Jim Mellon Quartet for sure. And these other bands I played Sweet Jane. I think GE even played Sweet Jane, dude. We fucking love that song. Man, in the South Bay in the Hermosa Saloon down in Hermosa Beach, I must have played Sweet Jane 1,000 times on drums. And I would sing backing vocals, the part like Sweet Jane. Loved it, dude. Back in I don't know, when I was 20 or, 1985. I wasn't even old enough to get into bars, but I was in such demand. There must have been 20 bands that wanted me to play drums. Around the South Bay, San Pedro, Gardena, Torrance, Hermosa Beach, Clark the Shark. You go there, and they're always like, well, his music isn't that good. Yeah, like your fucking music's better than Clark the fucking Shark from GE. Everyone in the South Bay is like a genius. They're like, well, his music isn't that good, but he's a great drummer. And I'm like, yeah, you're fucking music. Dude, people know about Clark the Shark all around the country. Who the fuck knows about you, South Bay? Anyone? I don't think so. 1-800-449-8255. The fucking don't piss Sharky off right now from the fabulous EIB Sharkerphone, because I will fucking call you out, and I will. Just like Lou Reed would on Sweet Jane. What a fucking song. I love Sweet Jane. And of course, Rock and Roll. Track number 3, side 1. Awesome. Dude, awesome. One of the greatest songs of all time. Probably one of the greatest songs in the history of rock and roll is Rock and Roll by the Velvet Underground. I wish they would have kept going with another Lou Reed album after this album. I would have loved to have heard a Velvet Underground album, 1971 or 72. That would have gone multi-platinum, you guys. These guys made a big mistake when they broke up this band, or, Lou Reed quit or whatever. They continued without him. Bad move, you guys, because you guys were headed for greatness and you didn't even know it. And they actually already accomplished it right here with this album. And the fact that the album at the time maybe didn't sell all that well, and Lou Reed was like, well, I gotta, I gotta make money. The voice, he's like, he's just got the worst singing voice and talking voice, but he's so, he's always got the sunglasses, and like, the government is planting seeds in my brain. I'm going insane, and I had to quit the band because the government, when the CIA was following the band, and I had to go solo and suck Bowie's cock at 1-800-449-8255. And I'm like, Lou, why the fuck would you quit the Velvet Underground, dude? I mean, you could have had David Bowie produce the next Velvet Underground album. Dude, you got to think. Get Bowie, instead of going solo. I mean, I love those Lou Reed solo albums, but a lot of them are either trying to be Bowie, or, they're just David, kind of like Iggy Pop, the idiot. Like, it's the David Bowie album, and then Lou Reed is like doing it. Even if Lou Reed's writing the lyrics or writing the music, it still sounds like David Bowie or something. And I don't like that. I don't like it when an artist produces an album and then it becomes like his album. Like, Iggy Pop had to get away from that with Bowie, because even though The Idiot is fucking good, and Lust for Life is fucking good too, but I would love to hear like the Stooges type of Iggy Pop, not this David Bowie Iggy Pop. Like, even though it's fucking cool, it's good. And I could say the same thing about Lou Reed with David Bowie, but I would have loved to have heard Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, Maureen Tucker, all of them, Kale, do Velvet Underground sounding albums, but these guys were very diverse. They mixed up their sound a lot. And I would have loved to have heard David Bowie produce a 1971 or 72 Velvet Underground album. I mean, you guys should think, man, instead of just break up the band or quit the band or. And, I'm going to say something here that's kind of controversial. I like that Velvet Underground album that does not have Lou Reed. I do, dude. Listen to that album. It's pretty good. It's fucking killer, actually. And Cool It Down on this album, that's fucking awesome. And New Age, dude. Side one, talk about indie, alternative, atmospheric rock music that's way ahead of its time. It is this album in a nutshell. It encapsulates that, dude. And actually, it's kind of commercial pop. This could have gone to number one, dude. If it had the marketing, Rock and Roll and Sweet Jane. I'm not going to say they're commercial, but they're indie underground rock, and beneath the scene, but with some marketing, this album could have gone to number one. I'm not kidding you guys. And it didn't need Nico to be beautiful and lovely and all that. It did it on its own merits. And it's just a shame that he quit the fucking band, dude, Lou, because I hate it when people quit bands, I hate it when my band ended. I loved my band, but I couldn't get anyone to support it, and I had no money to keep recording down there in El Segundo, with Bill Credell or whoever, or out in Redondo. It costs money to record, but luckily I did get out some good songs that you guys all seem to like out there online. And I thank you for rocking them. Of course, side two of this album is interesting, you guys. None of these songs lit up in blue. But they're all really solid songs. Head Held High and, Lonesome Cowboy. I Found a Reason. Fucking awesome. And, dude, Train Around the Bend. Love that. The final song on the album is one of the greatest songs in history. Oh, Sweet Nothing. 723. Yule sing and lead. Fuck, dude. Side two's very interesting, but not as catchy or as good as side one, but much more interesting than side one. But this whole album, you guys, for the indie alternative garage, capturing just what these people were, kind of losers, misfits, douchebag people, on the underground, the Velvet fucking Underground, you guys. This album, their most commercial, their biggest album of the albums that they did. No, it's not as good as Banana, Andy Warhol, but it is like apples to oranges, sideways comparison. It's totally different from that. And, Lou Reed, God bless him, his Transformer and all those albums they're good, but I don't like to support solo projects. I support David Bowie because to me, David Bowie can't be in a band. He has to be David Bowie. And there are some artists like that, like Elton John. But Lou Reed has to be in a band. And I listened to all his albums, dude, but I never could get into this concept of Lou Reed being solo. I mean, he's a cool guy, but then, he runs out of money and he starts hawking, mopeds or something. And it just, I didn't like it, dude. And I like bands. Even if some people come and go or quit, I like a rock and roll band. And the Velvet Underground are just so interesting because they're just such misfits. It's just a collection of such complete weirdos. And, those other albums they did in the 60s were good, were interesting. This goes to another level, you guys. Even though it's not as good as those, it's better in that it opens up the world to new and more Velvet Underground fans to come in. And some people think that is a sacrilege, like that is an absolute albatross of an abuse. Like, how dare you make the Velvet Underground commercial, but it's not really commercial. This is good music. Some of it went on the radio, just like Lou Reed, Take a Walk on the Wild Side, written by Bowie and all that shit. But I like good music. I don't care if it's commercial. I like the Supremes. I like, all kinds of shit in the 60s, like the Monkees or something that people would say sucks. Now, and by the way, Lou Reed hated the Beatles, you guys. I want to point that out. And I think Frank Zappa hated them too. Now, these guys were so indie. They were so underground, on Verve Records or whatever. They were so alternative and ahead of their time. They had to hate the Beatles, you guys. I don't condemn them or get all mad at them for hating the Beatles. But I think if Lou Reed would have listened a little harder, and especially when the Beatles started to get really good, but me, Clark the Shark, I think the Beatles were always good, even in 1962 or 1963. And, Lou Reed and Zappa both came from doo-wop. And the Beatles came from more like Buddy Holly, stuff like that. So that could be the rift right there. That could be the difference of why Zappa and Lou Reed, who both loved 50s, like those crooners, they came from that. And the Beatles weren't into the crooners. They were into, rock and roll, dude, Chuck Berry and all that, and Little Richard, and I don't know, maybe Richie Valens. But I just wish Lou Reed could have gotten into more guitar rock and roll back in the 50s. I think, maybe not. It might have made Velvet Underground too rock and roll commercial, and then they wouldn't be the fabulous Velvet Underground, you guys. But we'll never know now, you guys, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. This album, to me, really special, really a classic, really important. Lou Reed, you guys, I don't think he'd be impressed by today's indie kids. You know how that one guy in Nirvana, or a lot of people say they were liberal, back in the 90s. But today they look at these new liberals who want to censor you, if you don't agree with liberals, they're like Nazi Germany. They want to censor your Facebook or your YouTube or Twitter or whatever. I don't think Lou Reed would have been with today's indie liberal people who want to censor fucking people. And of course, Frank Zappa would not want to censor people. So I have a problem with today's indie kids. They don't fully understand Frank Zappa and Lou Reed. By the way, Frank Zappa and Lou Reed both hated each other, you guys. These guys were not friends, because they were both battling for that little artistic audience that was really tight, really small. And, for every nickel or penny or dollar that was out there on the table in that, those guys were competing. But me, Clark the Shark, I'm probably stupid, and I probably have it wrong, but I'd be like, come on, bro, everyone, let's just be we're weirdos, and we'll break the money even or equal. And dude, a businessman like Frank Zappa, unfortunately or fortunately, didn't think like that. Neither did Lou Reed. But this album, you guys, important album. I want you to buy it if you're just 23 years old and you were born in 2000. You were 1 year old when 9/11 happened and the World Trade Center went down. I want you especially to quit listening to indie and get into Lou Reed, The Velvet Underground, Loaded, 1970. Get into Frank Zappa, maybe Captain Beefheart, Get into the 60s and 70s, learn about those times, all the music, even Harry Nilsson or, Seals and Crofts or whatever, everything, dude. Get into Bread, get into Neil Young, get into, whatever, who's that one guy, Warren Zevon. Get into the 70s, you guys. Don't get into today's indie, because I don't like the politics of today's indie. And I think there is a larger audience out there that agrees and thinks like me, Clark the Shark, right here from the Golden EIB Sharkerphone, the Wolfman Jack on crack at 1-800-449-8255. I want you to get into Lou Reed, you guys, and this album, Loaded. What an album, dude. What an album. And make sure you buy this at Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. Support the estate of Lou Reed. And, you know, Lou Reed, much like Frank Zappa, I don't think this guy believed in anything. You know, I don't think he believed in God or whatever, but who knows? But wherever his soul is in the universe, you guys, make sure you support at least Lou Reed's sister. I guess she's making all the money now, or at least it's going to someone. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. I'm Clark the Shark, and you just heard the word, the gospel, the testimony. And the only review you will ever want or ever need of this amazing garage, atmospheric, pop, acoustic, electric, ambient, indie, underground, pissed off, confused, narcissist, nihilist, of an album. The Velvet Underground, you guys. Loaded. Hey, quit the band after this, man. How weird. Very weird. Puts out one of the greatest albums of all time and then quits the band, man. Lou Reed. That in itself is kind of fucking cool. But not really. It's a bummer because I always wonder where this band would have gone in the 70s. Had, you know, something like David Bowie produced it or whatever. Maybe John Lennon producing it. I know that would have been a sacrilege to Lou Reed. I think Lou Reed, though, did start to like John Lennon and his music. I know that he hated Dirk McQuickley and, you know, like I do, Clark the Shark. But John Lennon, you know, Ron Nasty, his albums are fucking killer. And I know Lou Reed would have loved to have had a Velvet Underground album about 1973 produced by John Lennon. That would have been fucking killer, you guys. He was busy with Harry Nilsson, though. But anyway, I still would have loved it. The Velvet Underground produced by John Lennon and doing all original, no cover. That would have been fucking awesome. Or maybe even do cover. I might accept cover tunes from the Velvet Underground more than like I accept them from Harry Nilsson or something like that. But that would have been rad, dude. John Lennon producing the Velvet Underground. That would have even been better than Bowie, dude. That would have been fucking sick. Anyway, you guys, I'm Clark the Shark. Make sure you buy this album, especially if you are a young person from now, 2023. And I'm out of here, you guys. Peace.